The deception. Admiral Helena Chen stood at the viewport of the EDF Resolute, Earth's flagship diplomatic vessel, watching the stars with a seemingly placid expression. Behind that calm exterior, however, her mind calculated 1,000 possibilities, each branching into further contingencies. In 12 hours, the Cairn Dominion's delegation would arrive for what the galaxy believed was a historic peace summit. "Admiral, the Security Council is requesting final confirmation," said Commander Ramirez, her executive officer. The tall man's posture was perfect, but the slight twitch in his left eye betrayed his tension. "Tell them everything proceeds according to plan," Helena replied without turning from the viewport. "The Cairn believe we are eager for peace at any cost. Let them continue thinking that." And the Orion contingency. Now Helena turned, her dark eyes reflecting the distant starlight. "Active and ready, Commander. Phase 1 completed 6 months ago. Phase 2 awaits my signal." As Ramirez left, Helena allowed herself a moment of reflection. 10 years had passed since humanity's first contact with the Cairn Dominion, a spacefaring empire spanning 30 star systems. The massive insectoid species had approached with offers of technology exchange and protection for the young human civilization that had only recently developed FTL travel. What the Cairn didn't know was that Earth had been watching them for decades. 15 years earlier, Luna Base Observatory. "We've intercepted another transmission," Dr. Marcus Way announced to the gathered scientists and military personnel. "Same encryption pattern as before, but our quantum algorithms have improved." General Samantha Donovan leaned forward. Translation: partial, but enough to be concerning. Marcus displayed the decoded message. "Primitive species expanding too quickly. Potential threat to Dominion stability. Recommend diplomatic overture followed by standard acquisition protocol." "Acquisition protocol?" asked one of the scientists. Samantha's face hardened. "In military terms, that's a conquest strategy. Gain trust, learn defenses, then strike when least expected. They don't know we can intercept their communications," Marcus added. "Their technology appears advanced, but their encryption is based on mathematical principles we surpassed in the 2080s. "Then we have an advantage," Samantha said, her mind already formulating the beginnings of what would become the Orion contingency. "We'll let them make first contact on their terms. Then we'll play the part they expect. An eager, naive species grateful for the attention of an advanced civilization. And meanwhile," Marcus asked. "Meanwhile, we prepare. We build. We hide our true capabilities. And when they eventually move against us, we spring the trap," Marcus finished. Present day, EDF Resolute. The Cairn diplomatic vessel emerged from FTL, an impressive sight of gleaming metal and imposing design. 3 times the size of the Resolute, it broadcast power and superiority with every angle of its construction. Helena activated the ship-wide communication system. "All personnel, first contact protocols. Remember your training. The Cairn must believe we are technologically inferior and politically naive. The future of Earth depends on this performance." The docking procedure was flawless, the Cairn showing precise control of their massive vessel. When the airlock cycled open, Helena stood with her delegation, faces composed in expressions of diplomatic hope and slight nervousness, all carefully rehearsed. High Commander Drekthar led the Cairn delegation, his exoskeleton glistening under the lights. 4 compound eyes surveying the humans with what they had learned was a dismissive gaze. Standing nearly 8 feet tall, his mandibles clicked slightly as he performed the formal greeting. "Admiral Chen of Earth." His translator device converted his clicks and chirps into smooth English. "The Dominion extends its limbs in friendship." "High Commander." Helena bowed slightly, exactly the degree their intelligence suggested would be interpreted as respectful, but not servile. "Earth welcomes you with open arms and hopeful hearts." Behind her diplomatic smile, Helena recognized the subtle mandible movements that human xenolinguists had identified as the Cairn expression of superiority and amusement. Drekthar believed he was facing a species of children, easy to manipulate. Good. The treaty ceremony is prepared in our grand hall, Helena continued. But first, perhaps a tour of our vessel. We are so proud of our achievements, humble though they may seem to your advanced civilization. The condescension in Drekthar's posture was evident to those trained to see it. We would be honored to observe your progress. The tour was elaborately staged. Engineering sections revealed technology that appeared impressive to the untrained eye, but was actually 3 generations behind what Earth currently deployed in its military vessels. The weapons systems displayed were functional but deliberately inefficient. The Cairn delegation chittered among themselves, their translator devices occasionally catching phrases like primitive energy coupling and inefficient shield harmonics. Helena pretended not to notice, maintaining the character of a proud but naively outmatched leader. "And this," she said as they entered the final section, "is our pride. The first human-designed quantum communication array. It can transmit messages almost instantaneously across 12 light years." Commander Ramirez beamed with false pride while the Cairn exchanged glances that human intelligence had long ago decoded as barely suppressed mockery. 12 light years was indeed impressive, for a species that had supposedly only achieved FTL travel 20 years ago. The Cairn's own systems could manage 80. What they didn't know was that human quantum entanglement communications actually spanned the entire Sol system and beyond, with hidden relay stations extending their range to cover all suspected Cairn territory. "Impressive for your young civilization," Drekthar said magnanimously. "The treaty we signed today will allow for technological exchange that will accelerate your development considerably." "We are most grateful," Helena replied, her eyes downcast in rehearsed humility. Earth has much to learn from the Dominion. The Treaty Hall was Earth's masterpiece of deception. Designed to appear opulent but technologically simple, it featured ceremonial guards with what appeared to be energy weapons, but were actually several generations behind current Earth military technology. The treaty itself was displayed on a holographic projector that flickered occasionally, a deliberate imperfection to reinforce the Cairn's belief in human technological inferiority. "Before we begin," Helena said, "Earth wishes to present a gift of friendship to the Dominion." A junior officer stepped forward, carrying an ornate box. Inside rested a sphere of swirling blue and green, seemingly a simple artistic representation of Earth. "This contains water from our oceans, soil from our continents, and air from our skies," Helena explained. "In our culture, these elements represent life itself. We offer them as a symbol of the new relationship we hope to build." Drekthar accepted the gift with appropriate ceremony, his mandibles clicking in what the Cairn didn't realize humans had long ago identified as the expression for gullible prey. "The Dominion accepts this gesture with appreciation," he said. "Now, shall we proceed with the treaty that will bind our civilizations in peace and mutual protection?" Helena nodded, maintaining her diplomatic facade. "Yes, let us make history together." As the formal reading of the treaty began, Helena noticed Dr. Elisa Santiago, her chief scientific advisor, subtly checking readings on her wristband. The gift they had presented contained more than symbolic elements of Earth. It housed sophisticated nanoscale sensors now actively scanning the Cairn vessel's systems and transmitting data back to Earth's hidden defense network. The treaty's terms were a masterpiece of diplomatic doublespeak. To the public and the Cairn, it appeared to establish mutual defense, technological exchange, and trade agreements favorable to both sides. Hidden in linguistic complexities that the Cairn translators would miss were clauses that would actually protect Earth in the event of the inevitable betrayal. Meanwhile, as the ceremony proceeded with measured pace, Helena received a discreet vibration on her secure communicator. The message was simple. Cairn battle fleet detected entering outer Sol system. 342 vessels. Position: Saturn orbit, far side. Cloaking technology detected but tracked. Exactly as predicted. The Cairn never intended peace. The treaty was merely a distraction while their invasion force moved into position. Helena smiled warmly at High Commander Drekthar. "We are honored by the Dominion's friendship," she said, every word dripping with apparent sincerity. "The Dominion sees great potential in humanity," Drekthar replied, his compound eyes gleaming with what he thought was well-disguised predatory anticipation. "I believe our future together will be full of surprises," Helena said, her double meaning lost on the Cairn delegation. As the ceremony concluded and the treaty glowed with freshly captured digital signatures, Helena allowed her thoughts to drift to the massive Earth fleet hidden within Mercury's shadow, the automated defense platforms disguised as debris in the asteroid belt, and the phase-shifted weapon systems that had been painstakingly concealed throughout Earth's solar system over the past decade. The Cairn thought they were springing a trap on an unsuspecting prey. They had no idea they were the ones being hunted. The revelation. The celebration following the treaty signing was appropriately lavish, with Earth's delegation presenting a carefully curated display of human culture. Musicians performed compositions designed to sound impressive yet technologically simple. The food served represented Earth's diversity while appearing to require only basic preparation methods. Everything reinforced the image of an eager young species grateful for acceptance into the galactic community. Admiral Helena Chen watched High Commander Drekthar sample a glass of champagne, his feeding appendages extracting the liquid with efficient movements. "A curious sensation," the Cairn leader commented. "Reminds me of the fermented nectar of the Thralian lotus." "I'm pleased you find it agreeable," Helena replied. "We look forward to experiencing Cairn delicacies when we visit your homeworld." Drekthar's mandibles clicked slightly. "Indeed, cultural exchange is an important component of our new partnership." Commander Ramirez approached discreetly, leaning close to Helena's ear. "Confirmation received, Admiral. All systems ready." Helena nodded almost imperceptibly. "High Commander," she said, raising her voice slightly, "might I suggest we adjourn to the observation deck? Earth's sun is setting over North America, and the view is quite spectacular." "Of course, Admiral. The Dominion appreciates natural beauty in all its forms." As they moved through the corridors of the space station, where the treaty ceremony had been held, Helena noticed the subtle communications passing between the Cairn officers, mandible clicks and antenna positions that their translator devices didn't convert, but which Earth's xenolinguists had long ago decoded. Primitive defense systems, minimal orbital presence, vulnerability assessment positive. The observation deck offered a stunning view of Earth below, clouds swirling over blue oceans and continental landmasses. The sprawling cities glowed as they entered night, creating patterns of light against the darkness. "Your world is indeed beautiful," Drekthar remarked. "The Dominion will ensure its preservation." Helena noted the slight hesitation, exactly matching the predictive models developed by Earth's behavioral scientists. The Cairn were preparing their final move. "High Commander," Helena said, her voice taking on a new tone, one stripped of its diplomatic veneer. "I believe it's time we spoke honestly with one another." Drekthar's compound eyes fixed on her, mandibles stilling. "I'm not certain I understand your meaning, Admiral." "I think you do." Helena touched her wrist communicator. "Dr. Santiago, it's time." On the massive viewing window, a holographic overlay appeared, displaying the solar system. Red dots clustered near Saturn, hundreds of them. "Your invasion fleet," Helena stated matter-of-factly. 342 vessels, currently using what you believe is advanced cloaking technology to hide their approach. Drekthar's posture shifted instantly, his exoskeleton plates clicking as he drew himself up to full height. The other Cairn officers moved into defensive positions. "This is an outrageous accusation," he declared, but his secondary mandibles performed the clicking pattern that human intelligence had identified as indicating alarm and surprise. "Not an accusation, High Commander, a statement of fact." Helena's voice remained calm. "Just as it's a fact that your treaty contains hidden subroutines designed to extract our defense grid access codes during the digital signing process." The Cairn delegation exchanged glances, their antennae twitching in patterns that betrayed their shock. How could you possibly know? Drekthar caught himself, but it was too late. Helena smiled. We've known about the Cairn Dominion's conquest protocols for 15 years, High Commander, long before you made official first contact. 7 years earlier, Earth Defense Force Headquarters, Geneva. The quantum entanglement spy network is fully operational, reported Dr. Santiago. We're intercepting approximately 68% of all Cairn military communications. General Park nodded, studying the holographic display. And they have no idea. None, confirmed Dr. Wei. Our quantum receivers leave no trace. As far as the Cairn are concerned, their communications are completely secure. What have we learned? Asked Helena Chen, then a newly promoted admiral. Their conquest pattern is consistent across 17 previously independent worlds, Santiago explained. First, diplomatic overtures emphasizing the benefits of association with the Dominion. Second, a peace treaty that contains embedded technology designed to compromise defense systems. Third, a surprise attack timed to coincide with the implementation of treaty provisions. Casualty rates, Helena asked. Among civilizations that signed their treaties, average civilian death toll of 37% during the initial assault, another 12% during pacification operations. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Then we need to ensure we appear eager for their treaty, Helena finally said, while we prepare a surprise of our own. Present day, Earth Orbital Diplomatic Station. I don't understand, Drekthar said, mandibles clicking rapidly. Our intelligence indicated your species only achieved faster-than-light travel 20 years ago. Your technological development should be at least a century behind the Dominions. That's what we wanted you to believe, Helena replied. The truth is that humanity reached the stars nearly a century ago, but we did so quietly. Your long-range sensors detected our first official FTL ships because we wanted them to. She gestured to the holographic display, which now showed Earth's moon. The lunar surface rippled like water, and massive sections began to shift, revealing what lay beneath the regolith camouflage, shipyards and defense platforms, a military infrastructure far beyond what the Cairn had believed possible. Humanity learned caution early, High Commander. Our literature has speculated about first contact scenarios for centuries, and not all of those speculations were optimistic. When we detected your communications and translated enough to understand your intentions toward emerging species, we made a collective decision. Commander Ramirez stepped forward. We would present ourselves as less advanced than we were, deliberately showing you what you expected to see. A young, naive species ripe for conquest. One of the Cairn officers chittered urgently to Drekthar, too quickly for the translation devices to process, but Helena had studied their language enough to understand. The invasion fleet is reporting energy signatures throughout the system. They're being targeted. Drekthar's exoskeleton shifted color slightly, a physiological sign of stress. You are bluffing. Even if you have some hidden defenses, you cannot hope to match the Dominion's military might. Helena's smile didn't reach her eyes. The gift we presented earlier contained more than symbolic elements of Earth, High Commander. The nanoscale sensors it houses have spent the last 3 hours mapping every system on your vessel and transmitting the data back to our defense network. Dr. Santiago activated another display. Your ships use a fascinating approach to faster-than-light travel, creating localized subspace bubbles rather than the more traditional warp field. Efficient, but vulnerable to correctly calibrated graviton pulses. Drekthar's antennae flattened against his head. Impossible. Your civilization couldn't possibly understand subspace mechanics to that degree. We've had decades to study your technology, High Commander. While you believed we were struggling with basic shield harmonics, we were actually reverse engineering your most advanced systems from intercepted communications and covered scans. The holographic display shifted again, now showing multiple locations throughout the solar system, hidden within the orbit of Mercury, disguised as asteroids, concealed on the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. Everywhere, camouflaged installations began to reveal themselves, defense platforms, and fleet positions that had been invisible until now. Operation Trojan Horse is complete, announced Commander Ramirez after checking his communicator. All Cairn vessels are now contained within phase-locked defense grids. Helena turned back to Drekthar. Your invasion fleet is currently experiencing some difficulties. Their engines have been temporarily disabled by targeted graviton pulses, and they find themselves surrounded by Earth's actual defense fleet. This is an act of war, Drekthar declared, his voice synthesizer barely managing to translate the fury in his natural vocalizations. No, High Commander, Helena corrected. This is self-defense against your act of war. The treaty was a lie. We both know that. The difference is that we knew it was a lie from the beginning. On the massive display, the perspective shifted to Saturn's orbit. The Cairn invasion fleet was now visible, their cloaking systems disabled. Surrounding them, appearing seemingly from nowhere as their own advanced camouflage systems deactivated, were Earth vessels of sleek, unfamiliar design. Your invasion fleet currently has two options, Helena explained. They can power down their weapons and accept escort back to Cairn space, or they can attempt to fight their way out against a force that has spent decades preparing specifically to counter Cairn technology. Drekthar's compound eyes studied Helena with new understanding. The Dominion has conquered 17 worlds, Admiral. We are not easily defeated. We know exactly how many worlds you've conquered, High Commander. We also know that none of them saw you coming. We did. A communication alert sounded, and Dr. Santiago checked the incoming message. Admiral, the Cairn Overlord Council is demanding direct communication. Put them through, Helena ordered. The holographic display shifted to show 5 massive Cairn, their exoskeletons adorned with the symbols of supreme authority. The central figure, larger than the others with distinctive golden markings, spoke first. I am Supreme Overlord Kvex of the Cairn Dominion. Explain the meaning of this hostile action against our diplomatic mission. Helena stepped forward. Supreme Overlord, I am Admiral Helena Chen of Earth. There has been no hostile action against your diplomatic mission. We have, however, neutralized your invasion fleet hiding near Saturn. Preposterous. There is no. Please, Helena interrupted. Let's not waste time with denials. Your fleet commanders have already confirmed their situation to you, or you wouldn't be contacting us directly. The Supreme Overlord's mandibles clicked rapidly in what human intelligence had identified as the Cairn expression of barely contained rage. What are your demands? True peace, Helena replied simply. Not a deceptive treaty masking conquest plans, but genuine coexistence. Earth has no interest in conflict with the Dominion, but we will not be conquered. You cannot expect the Dominion to. We expect the Dominion to recognize reality. Helena cut in again. The reality is that we've been monitoring your communications for 15 years. We understand your technology, possibly better than you understand ours. And we have just demonstrated our ability to neutralize your military capabilities without firing a single shot. The Overlord Council members chittered among themselves, their compound eyes shifting as they processed this new situation. We are prepared to release your fleet unharmed, Helena continued, and to establish genuine diplomatic relations based on mutual respect rather than deception. The choice is yours. After a long moment of silence, Supreme Overlord Kvex spoke. The Dominion requires proof of your claims regarding our communication security. Helena nodded to Dr. Santiago, who transmitted a data packet. This contains transcripts of your War Council meetings from the past 5 years, including the specific planning sessions for Earth's conquest. You'll find your own words there. Supreme Overlord, including your statement that humans were particularly suited for labor in the methane processing facilities of Cairnvex 7. The silence that followed was profound. Finally, the Supreme Overlord spoke again. His tone markedly changed. The Dominion will consider your proposal for revised relations. We look forward to those discussions, Helena replied. As a gesture of good faith, we will begin releasing your vessels in groups of 50, once each group has accepted escort back to your territory. The transmission ended, and Helena turned back to High Commander Drekthar, whose posture had completely transformed from domineering to wary respect. The treaty was indeed a lie, Drekthar admitted, but not in the way either of us expected. Helena smiled, this time genuinely. Sometimes, High Commander, the most effective defense isn't found in weapons or shields, but in allowing your opponent to underestimate you completely. A lesson the Dominion will not soon forget, Drekthar acknowledged. 6 months later, New Geneva Space Station. The newly constructed diplomatic station orbiting Earth buzzed with activity as representatives from 12 previously isolated species gathered for the first meeting of the Mutual Defense Alliance. At its center were delegations from Earth and, surprisingly, the Cairn Dominion. Admiral Helena Chen, now serving as Earth's diplomatic liaison, stood beside Drekthar, who had been appointed the Dominion's representative to Earth following the Saturn incident, as it was now called. Your species continues to surprise us, Drekthar commented as they watched the various delegations mingling. When the Dominion was forced to reveal the truth about our conquest protocols, we expected isolation and sanctions. Instead, you proposed this alliance. Survival sometimes requires more than just strength, Helena replied. It requires wisdom to know when to fight and when to cooperate. A philosophy the Dominion is learning to appreciate. The delegates began taking their seats as the formal proceedings prepared to begin. On the agenda, cooperative defense initiatives, technology sharing protocols, and exploration partnerships. Tell me honestly, Admiral, Drekthar said quietly, how much of your technology remains hidden from us, even now? Helena smiled. That, High Commander, is a question I hope we never need to answer. As she took her place at the round table, a deliberate symbol of equality among all participants, Helena reflected on humanity's journey. From detecting the first Cairn transmissions to this moment of genuine cooperation, the path had been challenging. They had been forced to hide their true capabilities, to present a false face to the galaxy, all while preparing for the worst. But in doing so, they had avoided a war and created something better than mere survival. The peace treaty had indeed been a lie, but from its ashes, a genuine peace had emerged. And that was no deception at all.